Hello there. Today I'm going to go through the highlights of changes with the 2024 Team Tactic card rotation, errata, and nerfs. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. Alright, welcome to Marvel Crisis Protocol Card Rotation 2024. This is all absolutely just me winging it and being reactionary to the changes that have just been made and all that kind of stuff. So with that said, let's get into it because there are a lot of changes here. Some of them expected, some of them not so expected. But I'm going to go through everything I possibly can regarding these cards, at least with the knowledge that I have and what I know of the different cards and what some of the erratas look like, all that kind of stuff. First things first, AMG were kind enough to put together a full list of the Team Tactic cards that have been put out of rotation. And several of them are notable, and several of them are ones that you probably have never seen hit the table. On the list of notable ones, Advanced R&D is now gone. Mission Objective is now gone. No matter the cost, one of those ones that lets you get off your spender at a little bit of cost of health, also gone. Crew of the Milano is gone for the Guardians of the Galaxy. They explained a little bit during the stream why this one had to go, and I understand it. I hate it as a Guardians fan, but also with some of their bigger threats and the impact of a status condition on a bigger threat being more impactful, not being able to hamper those bigger characters for a important round as big. Deception and Exceptional, both are gone, but also really just kind of got erratas, which is why they're in yellow. They got a technically new Team Tactic card that I'll go over here in just a second. But yeah, they could have been erratas, but whatever. Other notable ones. Disarm, didn't see a lot of play. It was on the restricted list anyway. It just wasn't powerful enough usually to overcome Brace, Sacrifice, Patch Up, which, by the way, all safe, still there, don't worry. Other things, Escort to Safety, a nice trickster-esque kind of play, Eyes on the Sky level play that was universally available is not anymore. Eyes on the Prize probably being one of the bigger ones to rotate here. So many characters that were able to safely access the midline for a grab no longer can. It was a big part of the reason why a lot of those characters were played as often as they were. Looking at you, Beta Ray Bill, gone. Face Me, cool, niche, a little bit more so. Definitely did see some play, but not ubiquitous play that you would usually associate with getting rotated out. Heave Ho, not really ever seen. Inspiring Monologue, not really seen. Kick 'em While We're Down, seen a little bit more often. A little bit of a shame for this one to bite the dust. It was a little bit specific. It helped lean into the conditions and all that kind of stuff. I have a sneaking suspicion that this card may have been a little bit too much. Once Apocalypse and all of his different status condition cronies come out of the woodwork to really just hammer, maybe this card was going to be a little too good going forward. So, sad to see it, but maybe also understand that one. Kunlun never really saw play. Marked for Death is kind of an interesting one here to take away, as it's the card that allowed characters to lose stealth and then not be able to modify or reroll their defenses for the rest of the turn that that card was played. And I'll talk a little bit about why I think it's an interesting one to take away at the end. Mission Objective, universally good card, something to just help you hang on to the objectives that you had is now gone. Already talked about No Matter the Cost, 1-2 Punch, PSD, Red Room Training, all kind of more niche and no longer available, so kind of whatever on these. Smash was a cute card for your Sentinels, Miss Marvel, and Dormammu. being able to blow up a large terrain, and then you add dice to your attacks equal to that. Uh, it was more cute than good in most situations, but it is a sad loss for those characters. Sucker losing draining power from a character's injured side. I think that's fine losing that, mostly because two down from that is we're also Age of Ultron has disappeared from the face of the map. Unfortunately, I guess there just wasn't a way to errata it so that only original Ultron could use it, because the card only specified Ultron, and original Ultron, both his name and his like the superhero name and alter ego were just Ultron. So I guess maybe if they had done something to the Tyrant Metal Ultron and changed his name, alter ego, but no, that gets messy. Anyway, Age of Ultron is now gone, along with Sucker, so those kind of coincide. Trip Up, chance to stagger an enemy character. Warpath, chase somebody down, and then the exceptional healing. So these are the cards that have been shoved out of the rotation and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about the ones that are really more so just getting replaced. First up, we have Instant Recovery. This is the replacement for Exceptional. Instead of being a damage reducer or a damage preventer, this is now just a little bit of an extra healing effect. So whenever a character with healing factor suffers one or more damage from an enemy effect, unfortunately specifies after the effect is resolved, meaning that after the damage is dealt, your character would be dazed or KO'd. This card could no longer be played. They spend 3 power to play it, and then they get to remove up to 2 damage from this character. So the characters like Honey Badger, X-23, and Deadpool probably took a pretty serious kneecapping with this removal, mostly because the other characters, the 4 threats like Logan, Apex Sabretooth, and even Lizard to a lesser extent, are all tankier characters, so the likelihood of them taking a hit, being able to heal 2, maybe take another hit, and then get their activation to heal another 2 or 1 during their activation, kind of makes it a worthwhile trade-off. However, this is no real replacement for Exceptional and what it does. The other one is, instead of Deception, we have Stolen Identity. This card is very, very similar to everything that Deception ever was, with the exception of now that it can only choose enemy characters that do not have an activated token on them. So basically this prevents the round 1 shenanigans if somebody moves up to grab an objective and you just reel them in without ease or without any problems, really. Because now the character will have a activated token on them, and you can't just go and steal them away. So, with that, this is what's rotated out. None of these necessarily match a certain symbol, so AMG have done something a little bit different, and so now if you're wondering, hey, what cards are actually legal, you can go to the Challenger document. It's a little bit of a weird place to put it, but I was able to find it after a little bit of clicking around on their site. Hopefully they also put it as just a list somewhere else. But if you scroll down, it specifies, hey, these are the different timelines, what is legal in these timelines. And so if you go to the timeline standard and scroll for a significant amount of time, you will see all of the cards that are allowed, both Tactics, Crisis, and Infinity Gems. And there's a lot of those, so I'm not going to take the time to go over what exactly is legal, but I did absolutely want to just point out where you can find that. And that leads me to the banned and restricted list. So at this point, there are no banned cards, there are only rotated cards. I kind of doubt we'll ever necessarily see a direct ban again. It'll just be this kind of a situation. And really, it's just the 3 cards that have been, since the beginning of the game, really strong, with Brace for Impact, Patch Up, and Sacrifice. And then Indomitable is still there as well as an additional way to stop characters from getting pushed and shoved around. But those are your restricted cards. And then the final thing that is definitely significant, because if you notice over here, there are certain cards that you're like, man, I don't know how this card didn't see rotation. It's because some of the cards just got nerfed instead. Now, a lot of these printout cards are more so clarifications that have come from rules form clarifications and stuff like that. For example, cloning banks now just has what was kind of a rules forum errata on it, where it says place unused character from your roster with threat value equal to half the number of genetic samples removed. Everything in the game by default rounds up whenever you're doing halves and stuff like that, and so they then went on to specify rounding down specifically for this card. Because it was a commonly asked question, and rounding up may have been, or maybe it's always round down and they just put that in for clarification. Things like world domination, with the securing, it the secures, and there was weird wording there before. Same for First the Black Order, kind of feels like a nerf, but it's just kind of rewording. As best I can tell, that's kind of the same for all of these three as well. There aren't any actual effect changes. It's just some rewording to make it cleaner and work better. But getting onto this page, there are a little bit more specific things going on. Ironbound Books of Shumagarath, the Convocation staple, no longer works with grunts. So the Electra Splash into the Convocation, or even the Super Ultron with his grunts, no longer triggers the Ironbound Books to bounce back, so you have to be a little bit more careful there. On the other side of things, Daughters of Thanos, the cost went from 2 to 1, so a little bit of a buff for Gamora and Nebula and the Guardians players. One of the definitely biggest ones is This Is a Robbery. Instead of costing 2, now spends 4 power to throw away somebody and steal their objective. So really this card, in a sense, costs 5, because Rhino usually wants to pick up that objective. He can still get that power, but now it's going to be happening later in the game. Online and operational also got a buff, being able to only spend 4 power instead of its previous cost. And then finally, a couple more clarification things. I believe Foreign Assignment had some weird wording and timing and choosing of all the different things. None of the effects for Agent Venom actually got changed. Joint Effort, best I can tell, didn't actually get changed. And then, of course, we have the printable versions of Instant Recovery and Stolen Identity. So those are all of the changes and erratas with all of this kind of stuff. So let's talk about the biggest winner and the biggest loser out of all this. I think the biggest winner, all in all, is Web Warriors. Sure, they did lose a couple of cards that they probably enjoyed taking, like Mission Objective and No Matter the Cost, because those cards do work well for them and their extract kind of shenanigans. No Matter the Cost synergized really well with Miles and Jessica Spider-Woman and their spenders, forcing opponents to drop objective tokens. You could do it at a lower power total, just at the cost of health. So No Matter the Cost, a chance to deal more damage to the Web Warriors, but also kind of equally took away from their ability to steal Mission Objective, both a good counter against Web Warriors and their forced drop, the forced dropping of objective tokens, but then also, again, kind of also hurts them in being able to retain the objective tokens as frequently. But the big thing here, and the one that I'm not 100% sold on, is the Marked for Death going away. Marked for Death was an excellent tool specifically to stop characters from running away with extracts, is kind of what it felt like. It removed the stealth, it removed their defensive modifications, forced them to move slow. That was kind of like the purpose of this card. And so losing that, but not losing any of the things that are purely on the defensive side, like fallback or anything like that, feels a little bit odd. So I think webs are by far and away, out of all of the winners here, one of the biggest winners, especially with other cards going away that did kind of help keep them in check. Face Me being one of those. Rhino's Steel card, still a problem, but needed to go away, kind of a thing, or get nerfed. Then, unfortunately, on the losing side, I'm going to go with all of the healing factor characters. They lost two very important cards. Obviously, something did need to happen to Exceptional Healing. It was a little bit too strong. It was able to be ubiquitously used across so many different affiliations with so many different splash characters. And it's not something you can really limit to just the X-Men, because then all of your other, like even Deadpool is not able to use it at that point, or Lizard, or Apex Sabretooth, like all these other characters who are kind of known healing factor ability characters. So something needed to happen. I feel like the change up to instant recovery is a little bit too harsh. Time will tell, though. And then the other one is the loss of No Matter the Cost. This was a really good way for them to get value out of their ability to heal themselves back up, and taking that away also just kind of hits their efficiency and what they're able to do. And I don't think that's why No Matter the Cost was taken away from us. I think it was more so because of what the webs are able to do with that card and their extract shenanigans. However, it also hurts those characters who the card was probably really made for, which is unfortunate. I don't know how you necessarily rework that to make No Matter the Cost work in a different way or something, but alas. So those are my biggest winners and losers from the card rotation, and just kind of a general overview of what all happened in the card rotation and where you can find the different sources of information that you need. And to be clear, all of the different things that you've seen here are either links from Atomic Mass Games' website that you can find under their rules and organized play tabs for Marvel Crisis Protocol. And then the screen you're looking at right now is just pulled from the Marvel Crisis Protocol Facebook page, where many people, or really you could also find it in several of the different Discords, are posting the list of cards that are now out of rotation. So, with that, we have a whole new meta with an exciting time ahead, as we, a lot of people I know have lost anywhere from 2 to 5 Team Tactic cards out of a lot of their rosters. So this is going to be a significant shakeup, and I'm excited to see what it takes us toward. So, thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.